Good morning and welcome to Own the Chaos. Today is Thursday, March 16th, 2023. It is also the start of March Madness. Hopefully you guys got those brackets in just so they all can be busted in this first week. I did make some brackets though, not going to lie. I made 5 total brackets this time around. I think it's the most I've ever done, 5. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the March Madness brackets. If you made one, who you got winning it all? Who you got in the Final Four? Would love to hear from you guys on that. And let's talk about what's going on in the markets today. So, futures right now are down, but they overall steady. You know, we saw some initial jobless claims, and so that kind of brought the markets down a little bit. But the S&P is down 0.25%, Dow's down 1/3, NASDAQ is flat on the morning. Crude oil is moving back up just slightly. It's up 1/3%. And then looking at Bitcoin, that is actually down about 0.5%. It's down about 140 points, sitting at $24,777 per Bitcoin. As the title says, Credit Suisse situation is making this a lot harder for the Fed. I'm going to give some reasons as to why. And it's according to a article over at Yahoo Finance. I want to make sure I'm giving them the credit for this, but it was something that I thought was worth bringing up and discussing. Guys, let me hit up my starting 5 as well. Allen, Bruce, Snookeroo, Kevin Hawthorne, Patson. Is it Patson? Yeah, Patson. Makava. You guys are my starting 5. Hit that notification bell and show up early. You might be shouted out in the starting 5 next stream. Would love to have you guys hang out in that way and support me in that way. Bodie Beard says, still say a cut is coming. Bodie, I think you're out your tree. We should make a wager on that. You're out your tree. And I'm going to talk about why I think that a cut is off the table. I don't think that a cut is going to happen. Still standing by my my initial stance of 0. Like, there's not going to be, we're just going to see a pause. I think that that's probably going to be the most likely situation. I actually think the probability of a 25-point rate hike is more likely than a cut. As Lord Fenrir said, a cut would be disastrous. I think that would just send all the wrong messages. And if you caught some of the video that I put out last night, as well as yesterday's stream, I just don't see how that would happen. If the Fed cuts, they lose all credibility, like all of it. And honestly, there's no reason to cut it. We're still seeing inflation, 6% year-over-year inflation. Yeah, it's coming down, but we still have inflation. It still exists, very much so, and it ain't good. So, but given everything, and let's just go ahead and get into it. So, looking at the Credit Suisse situation, this has put the Fed in a bit of a pickle. Not just Credit Suisse, but we obviously Silicon Valley Bank and some of the other banks that have collapsed since then have created this problem for the Fed. Either you continue to raise rates and put pressure on banks and that sort of thing, or you do nothing and inflation can still go crazy, run rampant. I think that we are seeing some of the effects of rate hikes. And as you guys may already know, rate hikes do lag the economy. So just because the Fed's going to raise, let's just say they raise 25 basis points next week, we're not going to feel that in the economy. We're not going to see the effects of that for months down the line. So that's the conundrum. That's the challenge. One of the challenges that the Fed faces is raising rates and then at some point pausing and looking around and seeing where we're at. And if you guys might recall, the Fed, Jerome Powell, testified in front of Congress and was super hawkish, which kind of sparked this move down over the last 2 weeks. And then SVB happened, and then Credit Suisse happened. It's just kind of been a domino effect here. But I think what may end up happening is that the financial sector turmoil will do part of the Fed's work. And then we're kind of already seeing that. And we're already seeing layoffs from major tech companies, like tens of thousands of jobs are being cut. So we are seeing some of those effects. But at the end of the day, do we keep raising rates and continue to break things? And that's the issue that Powell has and the Fed has right now. I think it's very much all up in the air as to where they might go. But again, I think that the most likely scenario is that they'll pause and kind of say, let's just wait, take a look around, read the room, so to speak, and kind of go from there. Kind of see what happens with the financial sector and the banks in general. Not only that, but like you look at how Credit Suisse, that situation, you guys might have seen the news. That stock's up 5% this morning after it got crushed. It hasn't even begun to make up for the losses that it took yesterday, which was down 14%. But if we take a look at it, you can see it's moving up this morning, and it is moving up because a Swiss bank came in and gave them $58 million. I think it was $58 million of liquidity, which is, it's just like just floating money around. So with that kind of liquidity, and granted, it's not on state side, but it still impacts the global markets. And so that's still something that the Fed has to keep an eye on. And so with that kind of liquidity still just floating around, that's what that also makes the Fed situation even more difficult. A couple comments here. Says it's scary out there. Bodie Beard says it's scary out there. No one knows what's going on. I wouldn't say that. People know what's going on. You just have to listen, open your eyes. Yeah, Lord Fenrir says we're just at a simmer. I agree with that. Thanks for the hoodie comment. Appreciate that. 58. Did I say million? Yeah, I meant billion. I meant billion with the B. Honest Company reported. Did they report this morning? I don't remember them reporting in the mornings. HNST, right? Yeah. Yeah, stock's down 10%. Let's take a look, see what those earnings are. I'm kind of dragging ass here this morning, guys, so just bear with me. I do have the weird news coming up later on this morning. And then, actually, I got two things of weird news. That I thought was worth talking about. So stay tuned for that. Also, technically, there's no birthdays today for, our adult entertainers. But tomorrow, there was two majorly famous birthdays. So today, I'm going to go over one of them, and then tomorrow, we're going to hit another one. So make sure you're staying tuned for birthdays at the end of the stream. Looking at the Honest Company, they came in at a loss of 14 cents. They missed that estimate by 10 cents. Revenue came in at $81.86 million. They beat by $1 million. Okay, so they beat revenue. Gross margin was 27.5% in the fourth quarter of 22 compared to 30% in the fourth quarter of 21. So that is a slowing of growth or reduction in margin. So not good there either. And then they missed on earnings. Guidance doesn't look like it was all that great either. If you guys are interested in Honest, we can talk about it a little bit more, but those are your numbers. I don't think that there's much else to read into here. The market cap's at $258 million. I don't think it's overvalued. I don't think it's undervalued either. It's just kind of like right there in the middle based off of what we're seeing. Short interest is at 4.58%. It's just okay. I mean, for a startup company like this, for a new company, they should be seeing more growth than this. 30% 30% or 27% gross profit growth here actually isn't. It doesn't even exist. Revenue growth year over year has actually slowed by over 1%. So, what is this? This is Jessica Biel's company, right? Jessica Alba? Jessica Biel. I think it's Jessica Alba. One of the Jesses. So, yeah. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. Fenrir says it's up because of a bailout. A bailout injects more money into the world economy. The U.S. Fed is promising any failed bank will have deposits covered, injecting even more money into the economy. Yes. That's not good. This is the conundrum that the Fed is in, because if we look at, let me pull up the SPY so you guys can take a look at the markets right now and see where we're at. But if you look at what the Fed is trying to do, they're trying to, prevent a recession, which I don't know, given what they're trying to do, get inflation down to 2% annually. I don't know how you don't put us into a recession, especially as quickly as they're raising rates. So you have this conundrum where you can't have the banks fail, you can't have economic collapse, but you gotta fight inflation. Like I do not wish that job on anybody. Bodie Beard says Ryan Reynolds cleaned up on his Mint Mobile deal. Yeah, we covered that yesterday. He made $335 million. I think he had I don't know, what was it, 20% stake, 30% stake in Mint that's now going to be sold to T-Mobile. We did talk about that yesterday, yeah. JBL had earnings this morning. Habil? I don't know this one. That stock's up 1%. That's up 44% over the last 52 weeks. Good Lord. It's up 20% year to date. They beat earnings, came in $1.88, beat by 3 cents. Revenue of $8.13 billion. They beat that by $30 million. 7%, almost 8% year-over-year growth. Diversified manufacturing services on a year-on-year revenue growth, 8%. All good numbers there. Outlook here, 7.9 to 8.5 billion versus the consensus of 8.14. So on the high side of that. Earnings per share expected for Q3, fiscal year Q3, $1.70 to $2.10 versus consensus of 89. So coming right in line there too. So it was just an okay quarter for Habil, but I mean, listen, they beat. Guidance came in line. Probably just going to keep on trucking. Not lighting anybody's world on fire, but looks good. Chris Edwards says, I bought a starter position in First Republic yesterday at the end of the day around $30. Not the smartest idea at this point. Well, listen, I don't think that it is. Yeah, I mean, right now it's down another 33%. I don't think your thought process was that far off, but yeah. I mean, did you guys see what the Charles Schwab CEO did? By the way, there's some more major dip ads. We're going to get into Occidental Petroleum and talk about energy here in just a moment as well. But SCHW is the ticker symbol for Charles Schwab. I believe he bought $50 million worth of shares? Or there's no way it was 50 million shares. We take a look at Schwab right now. But you have, CEOs coming in. Yeah, Charles Schwab was up 5% yesterday, and it's done really well from $45. I would have rather gone after something like this. I think Bank of America makes a lot of sense. I talked about why yesterday, but really just because of the SVB situation, there's a lot of depositors getting out of there, and they're going to move to a much safer bank. I think BAC is one of them. Wells Fargo could be that. This is what it was. Ron Barron bought a shit ton. If you guys don't know Ron Barron, huge Tesla guy, but invests in a ton of things. So Ron Barron bought more shares of Charles Schwab. CEO bought a shit ton as well. We look at Barron Funds owns 7.8 million shares as of the end of December. And then Ron Barron added even more to that. CEO Walt Bettinger said the firm is seeing significant asset flows. He told CNBC in an interview on Tuesday, he said he bought 50,000, that's what it was, 50,000 shares for his own personal account. And he said what we're seeing is asset inflows in the firm in significant numbers, according to Bettinger. He said Barron's purchase comes after Charles Schwab shares plunged 12% on Monday. That dropped 30% over the past 3 trading sessions. And as you can see, since then, it's done extremely well. You know, it's just flat this morning, but I mean, what a grab, what a dip grab for Barron and for the CEO, anybody else who grabbed Charles Schwab. That was a legit dip grab right there. And I think there's still room to go, by the way. You know, $59. I don't think it's too late to get into Charles Schwab or some of the other banks. I'm not saying go all in because I think there's still some volatility ahead here. But you want to start scaling in? I don't think that there's that much of a problem with that. Bank of America, like I said, down here at $28. I mean, it got down as low as $27 yesterday. Yeah. I think this is great. Ragnar asks, what do you think about UiPath earnings? So UiPath we covered yesterday. PATH is that ticker symbol. Here's your 5-minute chart. It's up 16% going into the open here in about 13 minutes. So they crushed it, man. UiPath absolutely crushed earnings yesterday as we reacted to them. I wasn't even expecting to look at UiPath, but yeah, they did extremely well. Lots of upgrades after those earnings. But here's the thing about UiPath. It's trading at 230 times next year's earnings. It's expensive AF. $8.09 billion in market cap. And revenue growth is at 30% year over year, 28.29% year over year. Profitability here is fantastic, 83.5% gross margins. Good Lord. But the valuation is just, it's too high. I understand the 30% growth, and we've talked about that. But, man, $8 billion market cap, and this company expects revenue between 270 and 272 million in fiscal year 2024. Sorry. Full year expects revenue to be between 1.25 and 1.258. So still, even with revenue at $1 billion, the company is valued at $8 billion. I think it's expensive. I just wouldn't chase it after up here. You know, if there's some good dip grabs, if this dips at some point, there's some profit taking, maybe, but the growth would have to be like in upwards of 60% year over year for me to be like excited about this. I think that I wouldn't chase it here if it were me. Citigroup looks like a steal, says Patrick Higgins. I haven't looked at Citigroup. Let's see. Yeah, it's sitting at $44. The chart looks like it could come down a little bit lower, but there's a chance that it may have bounced. We could have seen that bottom there. We'll see. We'll see how today shakes out. But Roberto Moreno. Roberto Moreno, what's up, man? I feel like it's been a while since you've chimed in here. It's good to see you. Take a drink of coffee. I know, man. I'm dragging ass today. I am dragging ass. All right. So let's get into some weird news. Yeah. We got about 10 minutes before the open. We'll react to the open there. But let's get into some weird news. So if you guys aren't familiar with the weird news, every morning I like to just break it up a little bit. Talk about something that's not related to the stock market or finance, and make sure, more importantly, that you guys are awake. I got to make sure that I'm awake today. But I want to turn your attention to this. You see what that license plate says? Now, at first glance, what do you think that license plate actually says? Just put it in the comments as I read off what is happening here. So there's a fight in Maine. Motorists are fighting for the right to have, this is according to Huffington Post, I'm just reading the title, right to have naughty vanity license plates. This guy is a vegan. And he decided to say that he loves tofu. Yeah, so Darren and Montegoya say, yeah, I love, but some of you who might have their minds in the gutter may have read, love to F you. And that's the problem, apparently, that Maine residents are having or fighting for the government. So car owners across the United States can pay extra fees to customize license plates, as we all know, sparking creativity and personality, but causing headaches for state officials who have to decide what's acceptable. Maine had, for several years, allowed people to just put about any combination of letters and numbers on the vehicle plates, including words and phrases that other states would ban. But the state decided to change course this year and recall 274 plates that deemed inappropriate. And some people are fighting back. So far, the state has rejected all the appeals, including the one brought by the vegan whose license plate references tofu, not FU. The state this guy was quoted as Peter Starostecki, said, "It is my protest against eating meat and animal products," which he's very much in his right to do, right? Like, it's freedom of speech. So let him do what he's got to do. But apparently some people are reading that is love to FU. People are so sensitive nowadays. This is Libby of Jonesport, Maine. After a hearing examiner rejected her appeal, says, "I think it's just foolish." And, it got me thinking, when I look at something like this, what's going to be next? Obviously, like, the government issues these license plates, so it's not really necessarily the same. But, like, how many times have we seen, like, a bumper sticker that says, if you're going to ride my ass, at least pull my hair? Anybody seen that one? That's, like, always a popular one, right? And so, like, are they going to? Is the government going to start banning that kind of stuff too? Because then I think you do start to infringe on, like, freedom of speech, the First Amendment, and that sort of thing. But yeah, Lord Fender says that dude has high estrogen count. Tofu is bad for men. I don't eat tofu. I've had it once and I almost threw up. But Danny Alvarado says people will cry over anything. You would, yeah, it's bad. And so, double feature today on this. Let me know in the comments, though. Do you have a license plate that you customized yourself? I thought about doing it when I bought the Gladiator, and I just decided against it. I was like, I don't need a vanity plate. I just don't. But I actually went the other way and got a plate that actually puts money back in the Chesapeake Bay. A Maltagoya says, yeah. Yuckfu, yeah. But yeah, I mean, come on, man. I just think it's ridiculous. Hit that like button if you're enjoying today's show so far, and let's get into the double feature. So if you guys haven't been keeping track, if you guys are fans of baseball, you might have seen this, but the World Baseball Classic is taking place right now, and it is been a bit of a shit show. So if you guys have seen some of the injuries that have taken place, lots of people complaining about that. But one of the highlights here has been the Italian team. The Italian team has been damn good. And it's led by manager Mike Piazza, one of the best catchers probably ever. One of the best. Not the best. Probably one of the best catchers ever. Mike Piazza. So in true Italian fashion, the Italian team has an espresso machine in their dugout. And Mike Piazza has gone on to actually complain about it because that's what Italians do. He said, quote, "We are kind of shocked actually because it's something in Italian culture that's sort of like water. I mean, coffee would be right after water," says Mike Piazza. He said that he was content with an espresso machine in the dugout, but dissatisfied that the coffee was being served in a paper cup and not a ceramic one. We're talking about baseball here. Baseball dugout. He says, "I don't like espresso out of a paper cup. It's kind of like sacrilege," says Piazza, "but when it's the only option you have to deal with it. Maybe next time we'll bring the metallic machine with the copper eagle on top and someone here knocking espressos out. You have to make the most of the tools that you have." I wonder what the poor people are doing. By the way, take a look at. I'm not gonna. I'll show you this here. Take a look at this. So Mike Piazza actually looks pretty damn good. It's good. Still looks good, man. How old is Mike Piazza? Am I dating myself by like knowing exactly, like just talking about growing up watching him? He's 54. Damn. Anyways. Should have beer. Yeah, right? Like if you're going to have any kind of beverage outside of like a sports drink in the dugout, make it beer, man. Darren said, I hit the like button before I enjoyed the live stream. Is that premature? Hell no, man. Listen, we all become a little premature every now and then. So it's fine. It's perfectly acceptable. Montegoya said he was a Yankee. He played for the Mets. Did he play for the? Yeah, he was just the Mets, I think. For some reason, I thought he played for Detroit, but I'm thinking of Pudge, I think. Let me just confirm. Dodgers, Marlins, Mets, Padres, Athletics. But primarily the Mets. Actually, interesting. He was with the Dodgers for 6 years, the Mets for 7. But, you know, the highlights of his career were with the Mets, yeah. Old enough to know what good coffee goes in, says GMC Boom. Yeah, I know, right? Patrick Higgins said, "Hope the Ravens spend all that guaranteed cash on Lamar." Do I hope that Ravens spend all that guaranteed cash on Lamar? Hell no. I'm a huge fan of Lamar Jackson. The guy's an absolute animal. He is a video game absolute cheat code. But the money that he's asking for, he just doesn't understand what that's going to do to the organization if they actually give him that. Financially ruin them, right? And that's just not what the Ravens do. They're not the Browns. I'm so frustrated with that whole situation. Like, it's stupid. The Ravens gave him a good deal. He should have taken it. Lamar Jackson needs an agent, and that's the bottom line, period. He just doesn't get it. Robert Moreno says, "I chime in from time to time. It's good to see you're doing well." Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Thanks for popping in, my man. Okay, back to stocks. So let's take a look. We got about a minute to go before the open here. I appreciate you guys chatting. I feel like it's almost as if I get more engagement out of the weird news from you guys than I even do about actual stock market shit, which is funny. Which is why I do it. Like, it's a nice little, break in the middle of the show. Speaking of sports, I saw somebody talking about March Madness. March Madness starts today. Bodie Beard said Oregon is going to take the whole thing. Oregon's going to take the whole thing? I don't know, man. I had Houston winning and Alabama winning my other one. Ryan Ballard. So the market's officially open. We're starting to see some selling pressure right out the gate. Bulls are starting to take over here. We'll see. This is your 5-minute chart on the SPY. Let's take a look at the tech heavy Qs, see where that's going. So it looks like there's some buying going up here. It's only down 0.25%. Let's see here. WAL. Western Alliance is what Brian, is it Belliard, was asking about. I shorted it after 17%, after it ran 17%, while the other banks were all red. It is red right now. If you shorted it and made some money, I probably listen. I mean, taking your money and running isn't really ever a bad thing. Just manage your risk there. I think shorting it was certainly the good call. I'm looking at the long side of it though, especially if you have a little bit longer of a time horizon. I think grabbing Charles Schwab down here still is a great idea. Bank of America is a great idea. If you have a longer time horizon, let's say the next 6 to 12 months, I think the banks are going to probably be higher in a year from now than where they are here. But if you're just looking to play the short-term drop, Western Alliance looks like it's continuing to fall here. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. And it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of buying volume here either. So now down 8%. I would just set a stop somewhere if you've been short on this and let it eat. Continue to move the stop down if it keeps selling off, and then whenever it trips, it trips. That would just be my 2 cents. Obviously, you can do whatever you want. What's the main reason the airlines are tanking so bad right now? Let's take a look at American Airlines. It's down 1.33% today, but it just looks like it's moving with the rest of the market. And you got to remember too, the airlines have a lot of money wrapped up in debt with these banks, so that's also a factor. Let me just double check something else here. Just researching something real quick. Delta provided a Q1 forecast reflecting the expectation that revenue will grow between 11.8 and 12.1 billion, and that was below the 12.5 billion consensus on Tuesday. Additionally, the carrier expects earnings per share 15 to 40 cents. That's quite the spread against the consensus of 33 cents. So it looks like a lot of the airlines moved down as a result of that. Southwest provided an update on Tuesday projecting a net loss for Q1. Alaska Airlines joined the two in providing Q1 update on Tuesday, noting elevated fuel costs for the quarter. So maybe that's part of the problem is fuel costs, but we're obviously seeing oil come down. But we'll see where that goes. So that could be another factor there. But by and large, you can see that it's moved down a ton with the rest of the market, essentially. Checking back in on the Qs. Let's go back to the 5-minute here. You can see that is just chilling there. Still down around 0.4%. Lord Fenrir is in on a short with JKS. Jinko Solar Holdings. Interesting. I've never even heard of this. Really low volume on that. But, hey, it's down. All right. So let's see if we can find some green in here, man. Where's Meta at? Meta Platforms is green this morning. Microsoft, we talked about this at the beginning of the week, that JKS is a good company. Am I just an idiot for never hearing about it? Jinko Solar Holdings. Design, development, production, and marketing in photovoltaic products. Company offers solar modules, silicon wafers, solar cells. So it's a solar company it's like a solar products company, I guess. Gotcha. Thanks, Turk Boy. I'm sure someone out there is probably screaming at their screen, how do you not know JKS? I mean, I just don't know. I don't know every stock that's out there. but I'll remember it now. All right, so So let's get into some of the energy conversation. Occidental Petroleum got bought up by good old Warren Buffett, and he added a shit ton to it. If you guys didn't catch the news here, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway added more Occidental shares, boosting its stake to 23.1%. Company bought 7.9 million shares of Oxy for about $466.68 million between March 13th and March 15th at prices in the range of 56 to 61. You can see it's at 56.44 right now. So Warren is slightly red on this, on his latest purchase. Based on his closing price, it was 56.80, sitting at 56.45 right now. Berkshire Hathaway currently owns approximately 208.4 million shares of Occidental, which are valued at $11.81 billion. So Berkshire has $12 billion worth of Oxy. Whew. Company owns $10 billion of Oxy preferred stock, as well as warrants to buy another 83.86 million common shares for $5 billion. And you can see that it's still down 0.5%. I'm okay with this. I told you guys yesterday after crude oil, was it yesterday or Tuesday maybe, that crude oil, energy in general, I think would bounce back. The move down was probably going to be temporary. Looks like Warren feels the same way. So we'll see. If it's not Dick's, I won't retain it. It's not fake news. There it is. Dick's is crushing it, man. If you bought, I mean, listen, it's outperforming the market right now. All right. Bodie Beard says, I'm starting to think at the end of this week it's going to be a wash. People are waiting to see what the Fed is going to do. Yeah, I think a lot of the uncertainty is just giving a lot of people pause, and I think that there's a lot of reasons to be cautious, of course. And we've talked about that at length, but I wouldn't surprise me if we saw kind of the rest of the week either remain flat or maybe even red. But we'll see. Meta Platforms, huge breakout here still. We might see this break 200 today. Here's your 5-minute chart. It was already up over 200 pre-market, and it looks like tons of buying volumes coming in here still. God damn. Oops. Alphabet, also green today. It's up 0.5%. Listen, tech is awfully resilient, man. Something I haven't seen anyone really talk about is the SPY has basically ran sideways in a wide channel for almost a year. Yeah, Don has talked about that here and there. I know that he has made mention of that for sure, but you're not wrong. Take a look at the weekly chart here, and we go all the way back to, so there's October. Here's June of last year. And if we take this, we can draw this out. So essentially, here's April, close enough. To here. Oops, not vertical. I didn't want a vertical line. There we go. So about here. And then here. Yeah, I mean, it's been largely sideways for the last 52 weeks. I wouldn't argue with that. And we could come and see, it's possible that we see this come back and retest at least a 200-week average if things don't start improving here, which is at what, 363? Have you looked at FIGS? Asks GMC Boom. Real nice movement, downward momentum, but a jumper. Never looked at, that's not true. I have looked at FIGS. It's been a minute, but this is your weekly chart on FIGS. I don't think there's anything that I like about that at all, to be honest with you. Take a look at it from the fundamental side of things. FIGS is trading at 64 times next year's earnings. It's down 70% over the last year. It's down 20% year to date. Growth is only at 20%. So for a company with 20% growth year over year on revenue, with it being priced at 64, almost 65 times next year's earnings, I'm going to have to pass, my man. You know, maybe it moves well here and there, but that's too expensive, especially in this environment. Occidental Petroleum just went green, by the way. Huge buying volume coming in. And there's Meta at 200. Plus the bank, plus the Friday, Brody Beard says, Friday bank fails could be a factor as well. Don't they wait till Fridays? No, not necessarily. SVB was on a Thursday, wasn't it? I don't know. No, there's no specific day. A great swing trader, says GMC Boom for figs. I guess. I mean, it looks like it maybe bottoms here at 555. I don't know. I would just be careful with that one, my man. Be real careful. All right, guys. I'm going to let you go. That's going to be today's show. I know it was a little bit slow day, and we're just kind of reiterating some things. But let me know if you are still digging the morning streams. You know, I've been doing this now for about 6 weeks, and seeing some growth. But you know, does it make sense to keep doing morning streams and afternoon streams? Do you guys like it? Are you tuning into both, or is the mornings the only times you can actually make it? Let me know what you guys think. And let's get on to today's birthdays. We have Alexandra the Dario, who's 37. Blake Griffin is 34. Lewis Hose is 39. Joel Embiid, potential MVP for the NBA, is 28 years old. And guys, as promised, huge name has a birthday today, and that is Katie Morgan, who is 43. She was on HBO. She's everywhere. She is also known for Backdoor Pass, Booty Call with My Bro's Mom, Dude, Where's My Dildo, Whore of the Rings, and Saved by the Balls. Guys, that is your birthdays. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you this afternoon at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll do it all over again. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day. I love you guys. See you this afternoon.